Hi, my name's Emma, and let's talk spooky stuff. If a band plays in the woods and no one's there to hear it, did the band really play? Hellbender is the story of Izzy, a naive girl living with her eccentric mother in the forest. Izzy is kept from society because of what she is told is a sickness. Already this feels like a tale we've been told before, but Hellbender is anything but ordinary, I promise you that. In Hellbender, we follow the story of Izzy. We've already learned that she lives alone with her mother in the woods, but what happens when she branches out to meet others? In the film, Izzy plays in a rock band with her mother, which allows her to ooze her creativity into the world somehow, but she craves something more. The film opens up to a grisly scene where it becomes obvious that this film is connected to nature, and I guess it's time to say it, witchcraft. This is a detail I knew about the film before watching it, but I assumed it would come with the reveal. But to my surprise, right out of the gate, the film divulges its mystic themes. And it's important to understand that this film is not just from the perspective of Izzy. Just as important is seeing the events unravel through her mother, who watches over Izzy using her own enchanted methods. And because of this, the expected tempolds fade away. It's not a film about the naive Izzy who rebels and then reveal. Instead, it's a slow growth that is heightened by her coming of age and her learning about boundaries and playing with those around her, which in turn gives Izzy an extremely powerful arc. Izzy, played by Zelda Adams, is hypnotizing. Her performance and arc is so moving and really believable. I could watch her character for hours. Part of me thought that this story might have worked well as a series because of how naive and separated from the world Izzy was. There's a lot to explore, especially with this coming of age story at the same time. We only get to dip our toes into her character in this film. Interesting enough, Hellbender is written and directed by 3 people: Zelda Adams, who plays Izzy, Toby Poser, who plays the mother, and John Adams, who has a small role in the film also. Zelda Adams really taps into the outsider craving human interaction. Fun fact, she was homeschooled, which may have added to her inspiration for how to embody Izzy. But I haven't even got to the fun stuff yet. This film not only hits the ground running with the witchy aspects, but its visual interpretation of magic is absolutely wild, throwing every opacity editing variant on the layers of the film, which are sliced up metaphorical shots. Best of all, they add texture to this wild abstract translation of magic. To add to the atmosphere, there's a lot of care put into the soundscape, and because of its picturesque location, its nature winds into the earthy feel, being these witches are very connected to Mother Nature. Atmos tracks of wind and birds flow throughout, keeping the film grounded in these themes. The color palette lends into our stereotypical idea of bohemian hippie vibes with a 70s color story, a mix of warm and cool tones that lay complementary on the wheel, contrasting in a pleasing way, almost like the heavy rock their band plays in the wilderness. And they are not afraid to play with blood in this film. There's lots of texture there, if you know what I mean. I was kind of grossed out by this, but I guess it's very effective. Usually that's the intent, especially in horror. I mean, for a low budget movie and what seems like a passion project, this film stands on its own as a unique story with an interesting arc. Although we have seen coming of age in horror time and time again, Izzy's growth, along with the stylization and surroundings, is anything but boring. But there is a personalization that seems closer to the director's that is a little bit hard to break through. And although the story is interesting, it's by no means a perfect film. The aspects that took me out of the story include the dialogue that at times seems just pointless and cold. I mean, the mother and the daughter are meant to be quite close, and although Izzy is meant to be awkward, it kind of plays into it. I found, for example, this exchange to be quite strange. In one scene, when the mother returns from the shops to the house, Izzy gives a strange delivery of, "Hi mum, how was the shops?" I know it sounds very simple, but this is just an example that I can give you without giving away too much. And I felt like this exchange is more something you would do over the phone or in a text message. Just to say the "hi mum" is, I don't know, the delivery at some points did seem very forced and cold. Again, Izzy's meant to be awkward, so this does play into that. And although I loved her acting, I loved her character, and I felt like she was very believable, there were these moments that were set up in the film where the dialogue and scenes felt very forced and it didn't flow naturally. I know this is a small example, but I found this to be a running issue. The film has such a strange, tense structure in that the viewer can understand that it is gaining traction as the danger for Izzy deepens, but at the same time, it feels like it jumps through time, feeling quite sudden at points, possibly spending too much time on bridging scenes than focusing on scenes with Izzy's growth. So I feel like it's a jump out of nowhere. But in saying all of that, the strange jumps out of nowhere and the dialogue in scenes, it leans into the weirdness of the film. And with a film like this that is playing with the abstract, it kind of works because it's just a little bit weird all round. Overall, I really enjoyed this film. It has an interesting balance going on. It's the sweet, the salty, and the spicy all together that works sometimes. And I was really impressed by the unpredictability. And again, I was in love with Izzy's character, who I would definitely watch in a TV series. But weird does not mean perfection, and weird within horror seems to narrow into more of a core niche audience. I would recommend this film to you if you don't mind lower budget films and you're into the witchy kind of nature vibes, you like abstract surrealism, this film will be for you, especially if you're also a fan of coming of age. But I would not recommend this film to you if you're into a concise story with a good payoff, because this film does not have that. The film is all about the arc and the bends and not the reveals. This one was a very hard one for me to score. I'm gonna give it a score of 7. I really enjoyed it. It's very different, and I did not expect it to be this different. But if you do go into it knowing that and what we've talked about today, you have a better idea of how the film will flow. I think you'll know if you'll enjoy it and if it's worth your time. For originality, I'm going to give it an 8. I thought it was a really originally done film, and again, it took me by surprise. I thought it was going to be completely predictable, especially since they put all the witchy stuff out on the table at the very start. I did not expect that, so that was really cool to know that whole aspect before going in, so it didn't feel like it was like trying to trick you with reveals. Yeah, it's a very different way of approaching the subject, because I feel like a lot of films, whether it be about werewolves or witches or anything that a family's kind of secret is, they definitely hold on to that until the end. So I thought that was really interesting with her growing and you already knowing that. And that's the bonus of having the two perspectives from Izzy and from her mother. And for scare, I'm gonna give it a 4. I don't think it was scary, but the little bits of blood and stuff I do find really disgusting, especially when there's like spit. I just don't like that. So good luck with that. Let me know what you thought of Hellbender down below. It's obviously a very different film, so if you are into independent film, I highly recommend it. If you haven't seen it yet, I know a lot of people did see it in festivals last year. It does hit Shudder this week. I'll leave the details down below, and I hope you get to check it out. Let me know what you thought, if you liked it, if you didn't, why or why not, down below. I hope you're having a fantastic day. My name is Emma. I do 2 videos every single week talking about horror movies, giving you lots of recommendations, and telling you about films in a way that does not spoil them, but lets you know whether they're worth your time, and if it's something you'd be interested in, because we're not all into the same kind of subgenres or feelings in films. I hope you're having a fantastic day. I cannot wait to share my come with me this week. I'm gonna go see a movie in the cinemas. It's a horror movie and I've been so excited to check out this one. So I can't wait to check that out with you, and I'll see you all very soon. Stay safe and stay spooky. Bye, friends.